Hey, it's Barry.
And Dave.
And Dan.
All right.
Here with another episode of Hooked on Headwaters,
yes.
where we are in season 2, new faces, new places. We got a new face here with Dan. Dan's going to talk a little bit about his guide service and what he does. We're also going to do a little bit of education today. One of the things we want to start ramping up is helping you guys that are coming down, whether you're local or coming down from up north, kind of figure these lakes out, kind of get an idea of what lures to use depending on the water conditions and different variables that you're going to run into. Because we know it's going to help you improve your catch rate when you come down so you can make the most out of your trips. So that's what we're going to be doing as we continue on through season 2.
Yep.
And we've got a lot of things scheduled up here that are really going to, I think, help you guys up your game. We're going to be doing some challenges, all kinds of crazy stuff. So hang in there. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe, notification bell, do all that kind of stuff. Helps us with the algorithm, you know, all the same stuff, but it really does. And you're going to learn a lot this year. We've got a lot of really cool stuff planned. So as always, we want to thank Davis House Inn as one of our sponsors here on the show. If you're looking for a place to stay when you're coming into town, make sure you get hold of Kyle. Information below and in the description below. He's got the cleanest, nicest location right on the water in Sebastian. Beautiful view, restaurants within walking distance. It's a great family place. Big rooms are more like efficiencies. Water hookups, or water as far as hosing down your boat. You got electric hookups for your batteries, so you can bring your boat there and be charged up for the next day's fishing, and you get a discount.
You mentioned Hooked on Headwaters, you get a discount.
Now, don't forget to ask for it. That lets Kyle know that you heard about it from us, and lets you save money.
I want to be one of the first ones to welcome this guy right here, Captain Dan. He's going to introduce himself in just a little bit. In the meanwhile, I'm going to do my thing and head back to the camera.
Here we go. All right, let's kick things off, Dan, with a little bit about, you know, background, how you got into guiding, what lakes you like to fish, things like that.
My name's Dan Hand. I own Fish Hand Guide Service. I'm actually a local resident here in the Fellsmere area. Been here my whole life. Started fishing about 4 and had the bug ever since.
What lakes you like to fish? What's your favorite
lakes I like to fish? I like Garcia's and of course Headwaters, where we are today. That is really, this is a fantastic place. I enjoy fishing it. I'll fish Blue Cypress as well from time to time, which is absolutely beautiful lake.
Yeah.
I think it's the prettiest lake I've been on in the state.
Seems to be the common theme there. Blue Cypress, if you want a beautiful lake to fish.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Fishing can be tough, but I've caught them out there. And then, of course, right next door, we've got Stick Marsh and Farm 13, which is just as famous as Headwaters. So we got a lot of great areas to fish here in Indian River County.
Yep, and you find that most of your clients are more shiner guys, artificial. Do you do both?
I do both. So I get about 60% are artificial, but we have a lot of guys that like fishing shiners. Both can be really effective, obviously, especially for inexperienced anglers. The shiners are a great equalizer. Catch some really big fish and some numbers too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's a typical day then? Like, okay, somebody's going to grab a trip. They call you up. Okay, we're going to meet up. So you meet them at the ramp? Do you meet them at the bait shop? I mean, what kind of run through a quick day?
You know, most times I meet my customers at the boat ramp. Sometimes I meet them at the bait shop. Okay. Just depending on their preference. I usually have the bait ready to go when we get to the ramp. You know, normally start early, get on an early morning bite. So. Gotcha.
And you are running what kind of boat? We flip over to that.
I have a 21-foot Ranger. Pretty spacious, good sized boat.
Solid boat, lots of deck, lots of room.
Lots of room. Lots of room for people that like to bring their own gear. You know?
I was just about to ask you about that. Do you find a lot of people like to bring their own stuff that they're comfortable with, or do you have extra gear in case somebody doesn't have any gear?
Well, I have so much gear, I have too much.
Okay.
You know? But I have plenty of gear for all my customers. But you know, I'm sure you're like me, you like sometimes to fish your own tackle, and I'm cool with that. I actually like that a lot of times because the people feel more comfortable with the gear that they're used to.
Right on.
You know.
Okay, well, we're going to drop Dan's information below, so we want to jump into a little bit like we talked about. Let's get educational. Okay, this is going to be more not so much for your guide stuff, but more, you know, for if you're coming down bringing your own boat, if you already live here, you know, the water's color is changing all the time. Winds have an effect on it, and there's lots of things that go into changing the conditions up out here. So today we want to talk a little bit about kind of more stained up, dirty water. Okay. Sometimes we tend to just run away from it, go look for cleaner water.
Yep.
But if that's all we can find, okay, you come out and that's just kind of what you're faced with. What kind of lures do you like? What kind of baits do you like to kind of start with? You know, whether it's just trying to locate that first fish so that you can go ahead and okay, I found one or two, now it's time to get serious and start throwing some more baits at it. So kind of what do you feel would be the best way to approach a more dirty water kind of area?
Well, what I try to do, approach, like you said, if I can find an area that doesn't have dirty water, that's what I'll fish. Or within that area of dirty water, if you can find something that's different, you know, maybe a certain area that's kind of back behind a windbreak, kind of like we are today, maybe it didn't stir it up. Those areas sometimes can be a little more advantageous for you to fish. Lure selection, I like to start off, when I hit the water, I'm in a search mode. If I don't have a place I've already been catching fish, I'm searching. So that's going to be moving baits. Okay. For the most part. So I'll throw things like a spinnerbait, a nice big bladed spinnerbait. It's got a lot of vibration. A big swimming worm with a big tail gives a lot of vibration out there. Color choices, a lot of times in the dark water I like darker colored baits, dirtier water, darker baits. And then once I start getting bit, now it's time I usually slow down a little bit, and then I'll pick up say a ribbon tail worm. If I find a spot that has fish on it, or they're concentrated, now I slow down. I'll throw a big 10-inch worm, something a little bit slower. Right. Still got that tail to give me a little bit of vibration in the water. And also with salt plastic, a lot of times I'll put a glass rattle in it, you know, so you got a little sound as well. So that, and then, you know, you can never forget your lipless crankbaits, and regular crankbaits. I throw a lot of square bill crankbaits, right? And I catch a good number of fish on that. And color selection and those, you know, I go with just a normal color patterns, or you go with something with flash, like a rattle trap style bait that's got a lot of flash in the dirtier, darker water. Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good, and that is a good way to go. You know, you got to find them first. You got to kind of locate them, get bit at least once, and then you know, okay, I'm around fish. Because you know, even though the water's dirty, I don't think the fish just say, "Oh, water's dirty, I'm going to go all the way to the other end of the lake." Right. You know, they tend to stay in the same general area. I agree. I think for me, it's more of you've got to, like you said, you got to locate them, find what they're seeing down there, because depending on the clarity. You know, well, putting a little rattle in there reminds me, because back in the day there was a thing called Terrorize. It came out that, if you remember that, you could put in soft plastics, and they were usually red, I think, and had that little rattle in there, and that would make a little bit of sound to kind of catch their attention, draw them in. So maybe the noise in dirtier water, something that makes vibration like you're talking about, makes a little rattle. The worm gets, I think, you know, bigger tail worm gives off some vibration, but I think the rattle trap gives off a lot more. Oh yeah, probably. You know, obviously, you know, there's a lot more noise going on. So, all right, that's very good. If you guys have any questions for Dan or any of us, you know, when it comes to the, you know, situations that you're facing when you're out on the water, you know, you're like, oh, you know, I'm hitting a certain lake and I'm running into this. Let us know in the comment section below. We'll be more than happy to jump, you know, reach out and answer those questions for you. But we wanted to definitely start covering different water conditions. Do you like wind-blown banks, or do you like more of the calm banks when it comes to fishing as a matter of practice, just general? You know, the wind's blowing like it is today, it's a little bit rough on the water. If it's been doing that for a couple of days, you tend to go to that wind-blown side. It depends. It really depends on it. If I already have fish in an area, I try really hard not to hide from the wind if I can. Like I think we miss out a lot of times by saying, well, I got to get out of the wind. But if it's so difficult to fish in the wind, well, sometimes you have to relocate. So wind-blown banks, yeah, sometimes I will fish. Like if there's a matted vegetation, I'll position upwind and
fish the upwind side, especially with live bait, because wind plays a big role in how you fish your live bait. It's really hard to cast a shiner upwind and get him to stay there.
Right.
You know, they're already kind of crazy swimming around as it is, but if you can have wind to your back, cast downwind, it makes your fishing day a lot easier.
Yeah, right on. And then when it comes to shiners, let's run that real quick. You're looking for more vegetation, you know, like hydrilla or hyacinths, you know, water cabbage, whatever. You're looking for that type of a vegetation to pitch up against, or do you more like open area but holes that you can drop into? You know, like out here right now, we got a lot of, you know, the hydrillas kind of went from top to out. It's kind of starting to sink a little bit. There's a lot of holes around. Do you find it more effective to fish up against vegetation that's above surface, or fish more the holes, I guess, in between areas of hydrilla, or doesn't it really matter?
Well, yes to a lot of that.
I know it's kind of a
it depends on. Headwaters is such a cool place because we have so much deep water. We have so much deep water, and in positioning, I tend to fish a lot of those drops and edges. Then when I get to, you're talking vegetation, you know, with a shiner, he'll bury up in the grass and he'll sit there and won't move. Just to hide.
Right.
So if your shiner's constantly buried in grass, you don't catch many fish. So either what I try to do is I'll fish right adjacent to it. Depends on, you know, if you got stuff that's connected to the bottom, like hydrilla or cattails. You want to position off of that and keep them out of that thick stuff. Or if you have matted vegetation that's floating on the surface, a lot of times you can let your shiner swim all the way up to it, watching your float or balloon, whichever you use, and let them swim right up to it, because you know the bass, they tend to hang under those mats.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice covered area that they can just kind of reach out and attack anything that comes around.
Right.
Very cool. Okay, just to recap, when you're coming out to the lake and you got some dingy water, okay, the type of lures we want to use are, again,
baits that make noise, baits that put off a good amount of vibration. Those two main things: spinner baits, lipless crankbaits, regular crankbaits, especially square bills are great. And then once you move into soft plastics, I like darker colors. You know, curly tail worm. I like bigger worms, like a big June bug colored magnum worm, and also a swimming worm really well, and the rattles, which not only do they work well for dirty, dingy water, they work really well in heavy vegetation. Gives a fish something to locate. So that's kind of the thing, is we're trying to help the fish locate a bait.
Gotcha. All right. Okay. Then we're gonna break it down to this question we love to ask everybody. Everything, you just lose all your bait. Bad, something happens, tackle box is overboard, you lose everything. So you can only go to the store and buy one bait to get started with again. What's the one bait that you're gonna go get?
Okay. Since you said to get started again. A building block bait, especially for all you young guys that are just getting into fishing, it's a Texas rig plastic worm. You can't go wrong. You can catch a fish on that in every lake in the United States. You can smoke them on Headwaters on a Texas rig plastic worm. It's probably going to be the June bug Old Monster Zoom with a 3/16 sound weight and a extra wide gap Gamakatsu hook. That's my deal. That would be my one if I had to have one, because I can fish it a lot of different ways. Okay, good. So if you're ever just like lost out on the lake, stuck for days, and you're just hungry as all get out, pull out. Yeah, you can survive with a plastic worm. Or if you're stuck in a hotel somewhere in Orlando and you can't get to Headwaters, go down to the store and buy a cheap rod, reel, line, and some plastic worms and hit a pond. I know you'll catch fish. You'll get, absolutely, right on. And I'm with you. That would have been my go-to as well. I grew up on worms. You know. They just work. I've got my favorite little colors, June bug being one of them, black and blue being the other. Everybody knows. Come on, Dave. Jump in here, bud.
All right.
What else we got to cover here? I know we got a couple of housekeeping things.
A couple of things. First of all, hey, bow fishing. You want a great trip, you, your buddy, you and your gal. This would be a very unique date. Something to do, fun to do. Hey, check Barry and I out. We both fish on this boat right here. It's super fun. You guys will have just a blast. So if you're looking to do Again, book something different for an event or an occasion. Hey, a anniversary, a birthday gift, that'd be a cool gift right there. So check us out. Here's our information.
Yep. Good way for guys to check out if the girls are going to be the type of girl they're looking for. But in reverse, you girls, it's the same thing. If you're an outdoor girl, you want to make sure you got a dude that can hang with you.
There you go.
That's it.
That's
Call
the
them
test.
out. Because what we find, the girls wind up out shooting the guys.
Yep.
Most every time, which is great to see because
Yes,
it knocks some egos down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
funny,
yeah.
but it's all good. We have a great time. We joke around, kid around, but lots of fish to shoot, and we just have a blast. So definitely hit us up, Dave at hookedonheadwaters.com or Barry at hookedonheadwaters.com, and we'll go ahead and get in touch with you and set something up.
Hey guys and gals, I've got some great kayak fishing footage from my buddy Dave at Yakin and Bassin. I'm going to show you just a short clip at the end. There's something that happens to my buddy Dave that none of our kayakers want to happen to us, but you know, if you kayak long enough, it's just inevitable. So hang on and watch what happens. And hint, good recovery, Dave. Thank you for the footage.
All right, folks, I debated whether or not I was going to put this next clip in, but I decided to go ahead and do it. If you're 60 years old, you got a bad back and some nerve damage, you probably should not stand up in your kayak. My balance is not what it used to be. I was trying to fix my seat, and I don't even know how it happened, but it got off balance, and the next thing I knew, the kayak was getting ready to flip. You'll see I jumped back and pushed the kayak so it doesn't go over because I got too much stuff in there and I didn't want it. I really didn't want my lithium battery to get wet. But the first thing, if you ever do fall out, if you're a kayaker, don't panic. Luckily, I'm only in chest deep water. I went around the front of the boat to go up over the front instead of trying to get up the side because I'm quite heavy and I was worried about capsizing if I went on the side. It still took a lot of strength to pull myself up with my arms. You'll see here in a second, I had a lot of weight on my feet because all the vegetation in this lake was wrapped up in my legs. It takes a little bit of effort. I just wanted to get myself centered up over the center of the kayak first. Once I did that, I decided I need to take down the center camera and work my way up into the kayak. You can see all that vegetation on my feet. It's funny now, it wasn't funny at the time. It was kind of exhausting to do. I always wear my PFD when I'm in my kayak just for these reasons. There are deeper areas on this lake. I did manage, you'll see here, to get righted. I did fish for several more hours, but the back camera had got a little bit wet, and since I have the adapters on there so I can plug them into USB, they're not quite waterproof, and so I shut my cameras off for the rest of the day. I did catch several more fish, none over 19. I did end the day still in second place, only 1 inch behind, so I'll be heading back out sometime next week, and hopefully I'll be able to get a few 20 inchers. I know they're out here. I think the cooler weather had them hiding or something.
All right, guys, we've got Dinks to Donks new segment that we want to go ahead and make sure that you're aware of. If you haven't, send in your pictures of your catches. Doesn't matter what lake you're on, doesn't matter what bait you use, just send them in.
From Dink to a Donk. Send them all in.
That's it.
If there's a story behind it, let us know. Let us know where you caught it.
Yep.
Let us know what bait you used. And this is no competition, folks. This is just a community kind of bulletin board to show off some of your catches. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a dink or a donk.
That's right. Don't matter if it's a red ear, if it's a speck, if it's a mudfish, if it's a bass, if it's a catfish,
And
whatever. Yep, send them in. Let us know what you got them on. We're going to be posting them up on the videos as its own little segment. That's going to be great. So make sure you send them in to Dave at hookedonheadwaters.com or Barry at hookedonheadwaters.com. Either one will get to us, and we'll go ahead and get those on the video.
Yes, sir. We also want to remind everyone that we now have 3 great fishing guides, part of the Hooked on Headwaters family. Dan here, Tyler, and Jerry. Their information will be at the end here, at the end of the video. However, if you like to reach them, go ahead and dial them or contact them individually, or you can reach us at Hooked on Headwaters and we'll facilitate the appointment, if you will. So either way, you're going to wind up with one of the best guides here in this area.
Yep, all doing something a little bit different.
Yep, that's right.
Yep, so, all right.
That's it for me.
I'm out.
All right, guys, everybody have a great week. We got some cool videos coming up here. We're going to be doing some pimping out videos, as we call them. We got something coming up there. We've got some challenge videos coming up we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And we got a list about this long of videos. So like we said at the start of season 2, new faces, new places, whole new agenda as far as what we're doing. When it comes to videos, we're going to be as educational as we can for y'all, bringing you good information on how to get out here and catch the most fish and the biggest fish, so make the most out of your trip. And there's bait jumping right over there, so we're going to turn around and go right over there and get some fish. See y'all next week.
Thank you for watching, and God bless.